Formula One. Everybody, welcome here to Monte Carlo, Monaco. Oh yeah. So of course, we can feel that long drought of not winning for over a year in Formula One is definitely going to disappear, because it's definitely gonna be a wonderful weekend. The first June weekend, of course, of 2026. And most importantly, in this exclusive race introduction, we will take a look at plenty of changes coming up with the brand new Mon, the happy birthday Mon of Jan, the Swelling champion! That's right, because with the new directive, obviously, mostly focus on the performance of the engines, it definitely, can alter the pecking order quite a lot, but, this is all about Monaco, especially all about the Monegasque Prince, the homeboy, the home hero, Charles Leclerc, obviously, who will be aiming to replicate his amazing win from 2024 in this exclusive iconic race. Of course, that's been ever present pretty much on the calendar since 1950. And again, in just the matter 3 years, we will celebrate 100 years of the Monegasque Grand Prix, of the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, because since 1929, this is what makes the circuit uniquely unique. Since 1929, we've been racing on the streets of the Principality over here, and the track is pretty much unchanged. So, it's quite amazing that the modern car are able to navigate it, and it will be really interesting, to see how the brand new and the all innovative 2026 Formula One cars, how they will be able to go around the circuits, because yes, they are narrower, which will enable a better overtaking opportunities, even though, again, it will be a lot about the qualifying. And hey, having no long straights, that will definitely suit one team. You know which one? Scuderia Ferrari! That's right. Even the championship leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the babyface 19-year-old teenager from nearby Italy over here, who's now leading, by a whooping 43 points from his well-experienced teammate George Russell, has said so that Ferrari will be a team to beat, and especially Charles Leclerc will be fully motivated, to get one over Lewis Hamilton, because if you think about it, just how well Hamilton has done against him, especially, in the 2 sprint weekends in China and in Canada, pretty much out-qualifying him 4 times, I do believe, that pretty much put Leclerc and Hamilton, really close in the championship, but also, in the race and the qualifying battles. I believe it's 5-4 if we count the sprints as well. So everything to play for, only 3 points separating them in the championship, and this could be the start of the new championship, as we obviously chasing that elusive title that Michael Schumacher 20 years ago couldn't win. Otherwise he would have been an 8-time champion. And could we have a new 8-time Formula One world champion? It will be very interesting to see what happens in Monaco. Can Leclerc, be competitive over here, place it on the pole position? Where will Hamilton, for example, be? Are we really going to be so much stronger over here than the Mercedes powered cars, in particular, Red Bull being a bit of an unknown, but I think they will falter over here. But of course, as we are now returning to Europe, or we should say, as we are really going into Europe for the first time, this is the start of the European season over here, since we had 2 races in the North America. This is really where that big change, when the compression that has to be 16-1 instead of 18-1, will have a significant, hopefully, impact on the Mercedes powered cars, mostly obviously the Mercedes AMG Petronas team, and of course also the McLaren, right, which we can never count them out unless they get the strategy wrong. Now, of course, at the time of the recording, we don't know exactly, what will be the weather forecast over here for the Monaco Grand Prix, but what we do know, what is a forecast is that there will be lots of fashion shows, again, lots of luxury on the yacht, and the qualifying will be absolutely jam-packed. And I think if we can make it, now the 2-stop kind of strategy that was basically tried out in 2025 last year, during the 2025 season, that makes it even more, I would say, of a straightforward race, right? The battery deployment, it could make the cars, be really fast. It was actually very interesting to see the Formula E cars, being put through the paces by believe it was the David Coulthard, the Generation 4 cars, and they did seem generally, you know, with that battery power, which has a great acceleration, you know, of the line, and here not really having any long straight, you know, of a node, because you hardly, you know, will be switching from 7th to the 8th gear at the end, obviously, of the start-finish straight, heading into San Devote, or hitting, you know, into the Nouvelle chicane, obviously, you know, the Harbor chicane, as we call it on the Ferrari.com website, after the tunnel. You know, basically that will make sure that, you know, the cars can really, you know, always accelerate, right? You know, so you won't run out of the battery power, lots of the braking zones, and obviously lots of the turns that you cannot really take at a full throttle, because you would be spinning around, obviously, especially on Friday, you know, when the surface will be very green. But overall, I mean, you know, it's a very slippery, bumpy circuit. Again, I found it very difficult. That's why there is only one shiny Formula 1 Grand Prix winning trophy, because I haven't even won one. So we will be aiming over here to win it for the very first time this weekend. So definitely wish me a good luck with that. We definitely want to get back, you know, to winning ways, just like Charles Leclerc, for example, after also finishing 4th, but obviously at Emilia Romagna, Imola, the Ferrari Grand Prix, not the Canadian Grand Prix. But I think Leclerc did a great job with the damage limitation, and Hamilton was absolutely flying. So here we are, very, very excited, you know, about, you know, this Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, you know, you can see how the Prince Albert, the Monegasque, the real true Prince, you know, was really emotional when Leclerc won. And I think, you know, considering just, you know, the simple fact that Leclerc has actually collected more pole positions here in Monaco than Michael Schumacher, I think it's 3-2, you know, that definitely, you know, should be his year, and he could kickstart the title challenge, right? Even though it doesn't really look like, but again, the big news, obviously, heading into this weekend, which should really be around 8, but it is effectively around 6 of the 2026 FIA Formula 1 World Championship, as you can see on this beautiful calendar design in the scarlet red Ferrari colors. Here with the new fashion, the first time that we will actually be racing wearing this, you know, the Team Pro Polo, which absolutely, you know, especially if you are experiencing the heat waves everywhere, right? It is really great, because this is probably, you know, the only fashion that you cannot overheat, or at least overheat easily when you are wearing it. So definitely, you know, super comfortable. Again, you know, check out how easily it opens, right? And so again, you know, for Monaco, there will be lots of changes, right? Not just with the fashion, which we couldn't use when obviously Bahrain was called off, but especially with the directives to the technical regulations. So as we said, you know, that compression, I don't think we will see much of an effect over here, but you know, it could mean that, you know, the advantage, especially of the Mercedes-Benz cars, is well and truly over. And you know, we were flying in Canada through the low-speed circuit, so there is a lot of telemetry, a lot of the data, and you know, that was really, really important, because after Miami we were really worried that, you know, we've gotten it wrong. And you know, we will see. Again, you know, it looks like Andrea Stella might be coming up to Ferrari. That will be great move, I think, because again, you know, Vasser does seem to be a little bit passive, but hopefully, you know, this will help us, because I think the advantage at the starts, you know, has kind of disappeared. Even though Canada is not, and Miami, they are not great indicators, because the run-up is so short, as is Monaco. So we will see, you know, when we go to Barcelona, if we can still get off the line, and if we can still jump, you know, 1 or 2 rows, so then we even don't need to worry about qualifying on pole position. But you know, you could see that, for example, Mercedes-Benz, for the first time, they were able to keep their 1-2 in the Canadian sprint. So here it will be absolutely essential to plant it on a pole position. It's all about the qualifying, and you know, we pretty much cannot lose. This is a great golden opportunity for us, and you know, we hope that even though that compression ratio, the new directives, you know, we will really feel the effects, you know, next week when we are racing at another of our favorite cities, Barcelona, another circuit that we've been to. We obviously been to Monaco a couple of times, you know, walked the track, so then we know it on the back of our head, but we haven't lived in Monaco like Charles Leclerc, who obviously knows, you know, perfectly well how to master it, and by far, I think, the fastest driver the Monaco Grand Prix has ever seen over here. So that is the big news. Another big news is, of course, you know, especially if you are a big fan of Formula 1 and you really really want to get a hold and you really want to race the F1 2026 cars, the new, not really a game, but the extension, the DLC pack of the F1 25, has just been released. So we are obviously, just very excited, to getting down onto it, because, this race introduction, it obviously has to be published when the free practice starts on Friday, and it was only released, for us it's late on Wednesday, so obviously only had a 1 day, but yeah, it is so much fun again, to drive these cars. That will be very interesting, to see us, we can really, push them around. And I think, due again, to the scheduling and the time restrictions, that means, that this will probably be the last time that you will see the race introduction being during the free practice 1. During free practice 2, we will still have the hot lap, but with the F1 25 cars, red hot lap, definitely do check it out, because I'm constantly improving at Monaco and unleashing some real speeds. That will be during free practice 3. Then you will see the qualifying, as I will be aiming to plant it on a pole position for the second time in my career, despite the fact that obviously I will have been racing here 6 times already. So it's one of my bogey tracks, just like for Leclerc. It is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the home of the Canadian Grand Prix. And of course, then we will see the race. Can I at least get some points? Can I win? Can I get a podium? I haven't even gotten the points. Best result 15 from 2016. So, we should be able to comfortably beat that, right? Of course. So that is definitely the plan. And then the race reaction you will see 24 hours after. And just like last year from Barcelona, we then hope again the race introduction to come 24 hours before the free practice 1, because free practice 1 will be for the F1 25 hot lap, for the new F1 26 hot lap. That will be free practice 2, and the red hot lap stays during the free practice 3, and qualifying and the race reactions will be there. So I hope you guys are absolutely loving the series, and we hope that we will hear lots of Italian anthem, which we've been hearing courtesy of the AKA Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the clear championship leader. But we want to hear that national anthem, not first but second, because that means that Ferrari has won. That's right. So over here, let's take a look at the wonderful history here that we have at the Circuit de Monaco. So we will turn around our Scuderia Red Retina iMac over here, and yeah, this is Monaco, obviously a beautiful flag, of course, the red and white, just like our 2026 fashion. So this is how it looks like, and this is the circuit. Again, we will have that hot lap where we will go talk about the setup. Of course, with Monaco, it's pretty much a extreme high downforce setup. You cannot go that much wrong, but doesn't work that much for me, because I do find it very slippery. But definitely we will go over the turns, and especially we will examine how the battery deployment, how it will play the role. The active aero for 2026 will not be used that much, because obviously you can see there are not so many straights. So we will see if they will open up, for example, the run up to the casino over here as the straight mode, or if, for example, once you go through the tunnel, could you use the active aero in the tunnel? Hard to say, hardly into the tabak, but definitely along the start finish straight. So there, right in front of the Monegasque royal family, you will be heading at about 270 kilometers per hour. It is important to brake with confidence, and get a great traction out of the San Devote, almost kissing the wall over there, and then get as straight a line as you can, going up obviously into the casino. It might be a bit slippery there, because the cars obviously are usually going the other way around, right? There, but it is one of the best places to see the Monaco from, especially the area over here. There's a lot of greenery, and you can see when then you approach the casino, which is right up here. The Massenet is a really difficult corner, but you gotta attack it right, and especially the turn 4 over there. You will be jumping over the bump as you go right in front of the casino. One of the most difficult corners in the Formula 1. It is absolutely important over here that the car is stable there, and again, this is a great area actually. If you go to the casino and behind to take the pictures, you can see my YouTube profile picture from 2012, is still there because it looks so beautiful, and because of course I love it so much. That's right. So yeah, then you will be heading over here to the turn 5. Be careful so you don't look up the brakes, that could be very, very costly. And then into the hairpin, I think a lot of the drivers will be giving it a full beans over here if they can handle the acceleration, and then the full lock. Obviously here you do need to have it so that you get through the hairpin as quickly as possible. You can easily lose couple of tenths here and there, and then go quite hard over the curb at turn 7, and then through the portiere. It is very important to straighten the car as quickly as possible. A lot of the new development zones, so you cannot see that beautiful Mediterranean Sea over there that well, but it is important to get on a traction, and then obviously open the active arrow if you can, and then brake with authority for the chicane. Probably you won't be going like Alberto Ascari over the curbs and into the sea, even though Antonelli, obviously, who's now really, probably the biggest Italian driver hero since Ascari, which is quite amazing. It took so many years. You gotta be careful there. Can we overtake into the chicane? It is so difficult with that really good acceleration, right? Because you can keep up really the position, but hopefully we will see some overtakes in Monaco. Into the tabak, that's really dangerous, but it's possible, I believe, as well, especially because there's almost no traction here in front of the yachts. Beautiful, beautiful place, definitely great for the promenade, the so-called walk along the side. But yeah, into the tabak there's only one line, so you really have to pretty much pull back into the racing line, into this tight corner. Otherwise you're pretty much hitting the wall, which you don't want to be doing. You want to be going fast on the power and through turns 13, 14, and the swimming pool, which we definitely recommend. Very affordable, I think around, 10 euros per entrance, and, definitely worth it. Especially, I would say, at the midday or late morning or early afternoon when the sun will be shining, and it looks spectacular. They also have a slide, and you can also, do the diving. The jumping, jump diving, and then of course here, if you can get through the turns over here, just kissing the barrier and staying within the track limits, that sets you really well for the Laras Cuss. Obviously, Michael Schumacher over there has parked the car there because yes, it is true. If you just a little bit off the line, it is easy to get perilously close to the barrier, right? If you go then, for example, to the pits, you better move out of the racing line quickly because everybody wants to approach Antonelli chicane very quickly, and you want to take a very early exit, and then on the power the prancing horse will be completely prancing. It almost feels like you want to take off like the airplane, and that's how you put it on pole position. So definitely do check out that hot lap. As you can see over here, 78 laps. The race distance much shorter because obviously we cannot go to 300 kilometers per hour. By far the slowest track. The fastest lap by Lewis Hamilton in 2021. That very exciting season when he put 112.909 here in Monte Carlo, and we raced here since 1950. You can see how beautiful it looks like, and obviously it has seen the debut of the Scarlet Red Ferrari cars over here in 1950 in the second round of the championship. We've been racing and dominating Formula 1 ever since. That's right. So yeah, you can see over here how well it looks like. I'm just so impressed, that they are able, to put all of the yachts over there because that just looks amazing. So here are the Ferrari stats. I'm surprised that on the Ferrari.com website it is not updated. So it's 10 victories, and we will be going for that 11. With especially Leclerc or Hamilton. We don't really mind who wins as long as we win. So we can finally celebrate, be lifting the trophies, be playing that Italian national anthem. That's really what we want. The pole positions stays 11 over here, but it's 13 because Leclerc was on pole in 2021, even though he didn't start because obviously he crashed at the end of the qualifying, and then there was I believe an issue with the gearbox, so he had a D and S, didn't start in 2022. He was there. 2023 he was just picked by Verstappen, very, very unlucky, and in 2024 and last year he was picked by Norris. So 13 pole positions, but 17 fastest lap. 54 podiums. So you can see over here, the podium is definitely bare minimum. You can see for us, in Canada, we scored the most points. over here, out of any team for the first time in the first kind of the 5 races that we ran. So definitely we want to repeat that, and that will, help us, especially in the Constructors' Championship. And we will see, especially if Antonelli can handle the pressure, because it is quite likely that Leclerc could even jump Russell, who is quite unlucky, but also maybe not really performing at his best with the new generation cars over here. And that is great for the championship, and Hamilton could actually do the same. So this is obviously how it looks like, so let's take a look at who will be our competitors here at the Circuit de Monaco. So this is our 2026 Formula 1 Drivers' Championship, with Andrea Kimi Antonelli leading with 131 points, and George Russell being whooping 43 points behind at 88 points. So Antonelli can just, watch the race from one of, I guess his new yards, as he's the new superstar of Formula 1, and he will still be leading the championship, which after, of course, we had 3 sprint Grand Prix weekends, but after only 5 Grand Prix, that's very impressive lead. Charles Leclerc is then third on 75 points, and it will be important over here to try to tackle, of course, George Russell tried to overtake him. And then, of course, we have Lewis Hamilton for Ferrari on 72 points. So, our Ferrari boys are very, very close. And, of course, it will be interesting, again, to see over here, who will have the upper hand in Monaco. But, Hamilton, I guess he will be a bit disappointed. Lando Norris, who didn't finish in Canada, is 5th for McLaren, 58 points. 6th is Oscar Piastri, who had a terrible race for McLaren in Canada, 48 points. 7th is Max Verstappen, Red Bull. I think only Red Bull is really the unknown, how they will be impacted and how good they can be in a slow speed corners. They could, again, be our main competitors, just like they were in Canada. Let's hope not. He's on 43 points. 8, Pierre Gasly, Alpine, 20 points. 9, Oliver Behrman, Haas, 18 points. Haas, again, Ferrari engines could run very quick over here. Then we have in the 10th place, Liam Lawson, Racing Bull, 16 points. 11, Franco Colapinto, Alpine, 15 points. Great performances of him of late. 12 is then Arvid Lindbergh. Then 12 is then Isaac Hadjar. I always get it wrong over here, for Red Bull on 14 points. 13, Carlos Sainz Williams, 6 points. And then we have 14, Arvid Lindbergh, the only rookie in Formula 1 this year, Racing Bulls, 5 points. 16, Gabriel Bortoleto, Audi, 2 points. 17, Esteban Ocon, Haas, 1 point. And 18, Alexander Albon, and 17 then Red Alexander Albon, Williams, 1 point. Then we have 18, Nico Hülkenberg, Audi, 0 points. 19 is then Valtteri Bottas for Cadillac, 0 points. 20 is Sergio Perez for Cadillac, 0 points. 21st is now Lance Stroll for Aston Martin, 0 points, because obviously he had such a good finish, but still well outside of the points at his home race in Canada. Fernando Alonso, 22nd for Aston Martin, 0 points. That will hurt him, but Aston could perhaps, do well here, even though, we don't expect miracles from them. So the Constructors' Championship in the 2026 Formula 1 season looks as follows. So Mercedes is leading with 219 points. As Scuderia Ferrari, we are second on 147 points, and McLaren third on 106 points. And this is a great opportunity to close down the gap to Mercedes. And then with the new directives, if really, that deficit that we have on the straights is erased, that will pretty much put us into the title fight. And let's go for it, Forza Ferrari! Then we have a 4th, Red Bull, 57 points. 5th is then Alpine, 35 points, making good use of these Mercedes engines. 6th, Racing Bulls, 21 points. 7, Haas, 19 points. 8, Williams, 7 points. 9, Audi, 2 points. 10, Cadillac, 0 points. 11, Aston Martin, 0 points. You can see struggling badly, but yeah, this was the Constructors' Championship. There won't be a change at the lead, and surprisingly, there won't be a change at the lead in the Drivers' Championship, the 2026 that you've just seen over here. And you learn everything about the Circuit de Monaco, which of course hosts the crown jewel of Formula 1, which is the Monaco Grand Prix, and we really cannot wait for it. This is the circuit that we've been to the most, and it is very surprising that it is the circuit that we've been the successful at the least, right? So at the end of our race introductions, a very, very popular series, of course, we always talk about how well I've done. So here, the Swan champion has, of course, managed to get that great pole in 2023, and I will be aiming for my 2nd pole position over here, which is absolutely crucial, again, to deliver a good race, right? But also, it could be my 3rd front row start, because last year, when I was playing the concurrent season in the 2024 edition, I was second only to Verstappen by only a whisker. So yeah, definitely, you know, we want to get back to the winning ways, right? And of course, you know, usually I will, you know, once the tire wear is gone, it is so easy to spin. So that was, you know, really my biggest challenge. But you know, in the ground effect era, I've really been able to put it on pole positions. I've also gotten the fastest lap, albeit I still finished last, almost dead last, right? You know, last year. But I've at least gotten the fastest lap. So you know, we will be also aiming for our second fastest lap, and of course the first race victory, which is why that beautiful shiny Formula One Grand Prix winner trophy is here, and I hope to be lifting it above my handsome head to celebrate here at the Circuit de Monaco. That's right, that's right, that's right. And if not, I really hope I can at least make it to the podium, so that at least we can kind of equal Baku in that case, or at least get any points, which of course, you know, would then mean that I would have already done much better than in any of the previous seasons. Again, my best finish was 15th from 2016. In 2010, my first edition, I was even disqualified. Pretty much, I believe that's my only disqualification ever. So you can see just how difficult I found it. But yeah, wish me good luck, and especially wish Scuderia Ferrari the good luck. I hope you enjoyed this exclusive race introduction. And here in the month of June, you know, just like in the month of March, there's a lot of racing. Formula One is back, Formula One is back, you guys, and Scuderia Ferrari is back with the renewed power, the superpower, the supercharged power, just like, you know, our new Ferrari all-electric car has been released, so we can do it all, and definitely we can claim the World Championships that we truly deserve, right? So let's start with probably, you know, the only thing more valuable outside of the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship, which is the winning the Monaco Grand Prix. Let's go Leclerc, let's go Hamilton, and let's go Jan the Smolixan champion. Let's put the Ferrari on pole position. Let's dominate the race. Let's show everybody what the fastest, the most fashionable, the most beautiful cars are. The Scarlet Red Ferrari cars. Let's go for a victory. We love racing.